Welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I am Alqamar.
And I am Hanifah.
And we are your hosts each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. where we come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. Today will be no different. In the studio today with me, I have the fabulous, the illustrious, the one and only.
Oh my gosh.
Hanifah.
Alqamar is so extra today. I do not know what is happening.
So,
Hi, Alqamar.
hey,
How
sis.
are you?
I'm doing well.
It's
How
always
are
a
you?
pleasure. You know we always have fun together.
Always.
I am fine.
Yes. It's just us today, family.
Yes.
Along with your help, because we want you to join this discussion. We're talking
Yes.
about trigger words.
Ooh.
Them hot words that
Yeah.
when you hear it, you be like, ugh.
Hot topics that's kind of been trending and kind of been controversial across the internet pretty much, where you see people's responses and I'm just like, ooh, we're triggered.
Right.
And just from the conversation, so we kind of wanted to tackle that today.
Big time. Are we
Yes.
taking calls today, Miss Chrissy? Okay, Chris says we can take your calls. So give us a call too, 240-455-5934. I'm going to type that out, 240-455-5934 if you want to call us up and get your voice heard. Okay, trigger words.
Trigger.
Oh, and here's what we're going to do too. Me and Hanifah, it's going to be tough for her though.
Yes.
Me and Hanifah have agreed to take 8 minutes per words and just to hash them out so we can stay on track. So I'm going to start the timer.
Why do I feel like the timer is really for me? Let's do it. I'm ready.
Ready? Let's go. All right, the first word, I'm going to let you start.
Well, we one of the main one, I don't even want to say this for last, but cancel culture.
Cancel culture.
And I think the idea is, we all understand what cancel culture is. We've been noticing a lot where it started around, let's say I can give you some examples. R. Kelly, Kanye West, just different people who are identify as a part of the African diaspora, and they may have done something that didn't sit well with us as black people, and so you'll see black people say, I'm canceling such and such, we canceling H&M, we canceling R. Kelly, we canceling Kanye West, and it's just become this trend now to where, so at least on the internet platform, where as soon as someone does something, it's like, okay, we're going to cancel this person. And I guess when Alqamar and I, we've discussed this outside of here, and it's like, hey, we afford it to.
Right.
You know what I mean? And is it a slippery slope?
Right. Good point. And you know who comes to mind right now in the news? Tyler Perry as a cancel culture, because there's so many of us that that aren't in alignments with his visions and goals and what he does with his time, energy, and effort out there in the
how we go about making his money and
in the whole Hollywood or studio. Now it's his own little Hollywood scene, and so we don't like some of the things that he do, and so if something comes along like this where it should be celebrated, for some may think that it should be celebrated, others can't get over the fact that I don't like how he portrays us in the movies, so I can't celebrate none of that. What do you think about?
Or you have, I think the issues that we have, a lot of people have with Tyler Perry is, one, how he takes black people's pain. Some people feel like he's exploiting that for his own gain, and the message that he puts out there as it pertains to black people is he doesn't necessarily show us in a good light
with the whole Medea,
and then third, they see it as cross-dressing, right? So a lot of people don't agree with that,
right?
But you have to give the man his respect for that move that he just made.
Really.
I mean, are you kidding me?
Really.
Who else have done it? He is the first black person to have done that. So are we going
larger scale?
Are we going to ignore that?
Yeah.
And just act like, well, anyway, this is what he do. So, but this is a black man who has accomplished this. He didn't have to, because there are other people who are richer than Tyler Perry,
right,
and black like him that never made that move.
Right.
Some of the same people who are his honored guests.
And the thing I think that we don't take into consideration is moving forward. How do we know that now that he has this platform that we can't implement some of our own ideas? You know what I'm saying? Instead of complaining about what he does that we don't like, okay, now we have another platform. We can go with our own scripts, our own manuscripts, and things that maybe that, you know what I'm saying, that we could possibly get a little further than Hollywood.
And I think that's the issue I see with cancel culture is we don't wait to see the outcome. We jump on people and what things look like or what the media have fed us about that person. We don't wait to see how it plays out.
I'm glad you said that, Hanifah. And I for one have to raise my hand at being guilty of doing that. But I think of Minister Farrakhan. If you pay attention to how he maneuvers, he never jumps on hot topic stories. Never. He comes out, he talks about stories sometimes weeks, maybe months after it took place.
Yep.
And I know that's deliberate because he doesn't come out and jump on the hottest thing that's in the news. He just don't. And I think there's wisdom in that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and not only that, he's probably able to do more research,
right?
Look into it and kind of come to his own conclusion
and watch the dust settle.
Yeah,
and to be able to kind of gather, like you said, more information around it because you have more information
and allow people to listen without all the emotionalism involved. Because, like you said, the dust have settled. So now, when you get their attention, their response, now they are more ready to hear what the message is. You know what I mean? So I think the issue that I have with cancel culture. So I'm not sure that black people can afford to just be canceling everybody left and right. I definitely would have an issue with somebody who is like a straight detriment to the growth and the progression of black people as a whole.
Like for instance.
And a lot of, I'm getting to that. A lot of black people don't even have that level of power. That's how I feel. That's just me.
So the people we should be canceling out, we don't.
Thank you. The people with the real power. we ain't because we know if we cancel them out, we're gonna be sitting in darkness with no gas and no pots to cook in.
And no Facebook.
Yeah, so we're not gonna really we're not gonna be like really mad at them, like for real mad. You know, we're gonna go down there and try to come to like a middle ground and compromise. But the people who don't really have any power, we're gonna just start dishing out X's.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So basically the cancel culture, and we both had this on our list, and I really want to do a whole show around this. I really do soon. Because it's like we've taken on this thing. It's like, forget you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but dude, like you said, could we afford to really do that? Can we really afford to like cancel everybody out because of one or two things that they've done in their life that we don't agree with? And what does that say about us?
Right.
What does that say about us?
Yeah, I think that's why for me, even though I understand that segregation served us better than integration has ever served us, I don't know that we are ready to go back to segregation. Segregation is something that we were forced into. So if we segregate now, we'll be by choice. And I'm not sure a lot of us are in the mindset to actually choose segregation over integration. Wow. Segregation, our ancestors didn't choose it. Okay. They were forced into that. So what happens with us, when we're forced into something, we improvise, we make it do what it do, right? That's black people, right? Yeah. That's like a gift we have. But now for black people to actually choose that, because I think we're too intertwined in the system. I think we're too dependent upon it. So to actually make the conscious choice to say, I'm going to segregate, I think a lot of us struggle with that for that reason. Because it's actually you making a choice. You're not being forced into it. Because no one is telling us go in our corner. They want us to integrate, well, acclimate. They're fine with us acclimating because they're still the dominating culture.
And I think we don't know what that looks like. We don't have really strong, concrete examples of what segregating ourselves look like. Some people don't like to use that word. They use another word.
Separate? What?
Separate. Yeah.
It's a synonym.
Is it the same thing?
Yes. Okay. Well, because people pick and choose words. I'm like, okay, segregate.
Okay. Well, same.
But yeah, it's the same thing. Separate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and what we don't have any clear examples of what that looked like, and so that scares us, like the unknown. You scared of the unknown, so you don't know what it looked like, so you don't even want to go down that alleyway, not even in your own mind. So you go on with what you know, which is, come on, let's love everybody, kumbaya. Let's keep on trying to fix these people and make them love us.
So we're agreeing that what we do observe, or what we do recognize about cancel culture amongst our people is that it is very one way. Like, we focus cancel culture with people who look like us. But the people that we really should be really canceling are the ones with real power. And then it boils down to, like, are y'all really about this life? Are we real? Not y'all. Are we really about this life? Right. Are we just out here pretending? Because if you have no effect on my life, it's easy for me to cancel you.
Good point. And we're over 8 minutes.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
All right. Next. Submissive.
Yeah, I'm going to let you take this.
Oh, well, let me start my timer. Submissive.
Submission. So what, you go ahead.
When I hear the word submissive, I think of a woman in particular submitting to a man and what his wants, his needs, and his desires are in his life. You know, that's what I initially think. Okay. Right? But when I stop to really consider the word and what it really means, I think that we should consider that that could be on both sides, submissive, on both sides, man and a woman. And I think it's a natural thing to do when you're in a healthy relationship. Correct. I think. I think that we have a lot of trouble around the word because we're not in healthy relationships. We're not. So a man, I had heard somebody say it, which was interesting. They said a man that has to ask a woman to submit to him, that's the issue right then and there.
Don't need to be submitted to.
You don't need to submit to, because that's when your antenna should go up, because submission is like a natural progression of the relationship.
So it should happen organically
when it's healthy. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think that the idea of submission, I think that we would have to go back to the root of that word. And when I say the root, is sort of like, where is that coming out of? Where did that understanding where women submit to man come from? Okay. Right? Okay. I think women struggle with the idea of submission now too, because we are not in the times where submission actually made sense. Because women weren't working at one time. Men were the providers. They were bringing in the stuff. So the idea of submission was a kind of an easy thing. It was like a no-brainer. Right. So now we're in a time where women are bringing in their own money, sometimes more than the men. And I'm not saying it's just about money. Right. I'm saying women are bringing in, women are looking for men to bring more than finances to the table now. Okay. Like, it's no longer okay for you to just say, well, I make this amount of money and I'm bringing this amount of money in the house. That's not enough anymore. It used to be at one time, but it's not enough anymore. And I think we kind of maybe need to I don't know if we need to recreate like reevaluate our idea around submission. You know what I mean? Because the idea of men being the head, where does that come from? You know what I mean? And what was happening at the time that was kind of held, right? Versus now. So I don't have a problem with it. I agree with that. With men, if you have to ask, then you don't really need to be submitted to. But I don't really know how. I get why there's a pushback on it from women particularly. Yeah. I get it, because the times have changed. Yes. I got that part. Yeah. So is it the word itself that needs? No, it's what it represents. For a lot of people, submission is connected to religion, and religions that they don't adhere to. You know what I mean? And they're sort of like, no, we're equal partners in this.
What you guys ladies think out there when you hear the word submission? What does that trigger? Does that trigger you in a positive way? Does that make you, feel like, yeah, I can get with that? Or is that like, oh no, what are you talking about? Let us know. Let us know. Yeah, because I think that women do it all day, every day, without saying it, but the men don't have to say it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you want to be the comforter You want to be the man's comforter. You want to make sure you enjoy making sure that that you feeding him when he's hungry. You actually enjoying that. You know what I'm saying? That to me is a part of submission.
I actually think that a lot of it is programming. I think a lot of us are programmed to function in that way. In other words, when I said I mean both men and women, to function in that way, to where the way that we live, we still live like we expect men to lead. Period. Okay. No matter what's coming out of woman's mouth, when you look at them, you know, it's if you're saying we're equal, but you can't take the trash out as well. You know what I mean? You're saying we're equal, but you feel like a man shouldn't be doing this because he's a man. He should be doing this instead. So we have a lot of contradictions even within ourselves, and that comes from programming because the society we grew up in.
When you say a man should lead, so you're saying, what are you saying? That a man shouldn't lead?
No, I'm not saying either or. I'm saying that a lot of it is we are programmed that way to where even though you have women who are trying to assert themselves and say, no, we're equal partners, there are still certain things that is like, well, what kind of man are you? This is what men are supposed to do. But you're saying that you're an equal partner though. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're saying you're a woman who makes more than a man or who brings in money and still expect a man to pay all the bills. Then don't work.
Right.
Then stay home and take care of the children. And that's the thing. We want a traditional life, but we don't talk like traditional wives. You get what I'm saying?
Is there things that are innate to our,
and that's the question,
specific genders though?
You mean like wiring? Like, is it just the way we wired?
Right.
It's some of this nature, I guess is what you're asking, and yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, So I'd like to know. So we got a caller. Hopefully they're on this submissive word. Caller, are you there?
I'm here.
Greetings
Hello.
to you. Where are you calling us from?
Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
What caught my attention was you all talking about Tyler Perry.
Oh, we back there.
Okay.
Because we're looking into all the stuff that he's doing right now, and I've been kind of slow on gravitating toward all the things he's done too. But at the end of the day, I have to really, really, really appreciate everything he's done. And I was just reading a piece about him and Spike Lee, and I think that's really something that we can emulate, and that should worth talking about in itself. That we all remember him and Spike Lee having their differences, and yet he's man enough, big enough to gloss over all of that and name one of his sound stages after Spike Lee.
Wow.
And if he hadn't, it would have been obvious that something was missing. But that's something that we can all emulate.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
bringing that up. Yeah, and when I hear him talking, words come to my mind is let people live. Why do we always feel like we have to implement our own way of life and our own thoughts about how other people should live based on how we feel about our own lives? I mean, you follow me? So it's like Tyler Perry, I don't like his movies, so he shouldn't do them. And I don't, you know what I'm saying? Not disregard that other people out here love him.
Right.
But because you don't like his movies, he should be canceled out. As opposed to saying, well, you know what I'm saying? This man, I don't like what he do. I'm not a fan, but that's his life. Let him do his thing. That's the way he chooses to live his own life. Why do we come down so hard and make people think that people are supposed to live their lives the way we see fit?
And I think that's the issue I have with cancel culture is that we take one thing that we do not like about someone and we define them by that one thing. You know what I mean? And I'm just like he said, you want to acknowledge all the other good things he's also done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and I don't, that's the part I don't like about it. It's sort of like, okay, so you didn't like this song Beyonce made.
Right.
Or this thing that Jay-Z did. So you're going to just disregard all the other good things that he's doing or she's doing or have done.
Right.
I mean, I think we have to rethink that.
And what does that say about us?
Right.
It's like, what does that say about our tolerance level? You know what I'm saying? Our patience with one another, our ability to let other people be who they are, because you would want the same on your end. So,
sorry.
Oh, baby cakes. Oh, baby cakes. Okay, well, we're moving right along, family. Thank you for the call. Again, if you want to give us a call and talk about what's on your mind, 240-455-5934. Hanifah and I in the studio today talking about trigger words. What are those words that you hear that trigger you in one way or another? I want to talk about the word ghetto.
Yeah.
The word ghetto, and I'm gonna read something really quick.
Okay.
Just something I just learned recently. The origin of the word ghetto. The linkage between Jews and ghetto began in the early 16th century. In 1516, as a compromise offering to those agitating for the city to be Christian only, Venice confined its Jewish population to a little island in the northern part of the city known as the New Ghetto. The name ghetto likely derived from the Venetian verb gettare, meaning to pour or to cast, and probably can be traced to the earlier presence of a copper foundry in what was to become the all-Jewish district. From the 16th to the 18th century, the institution of the legally compulsory and physically enclosed exclusively Jewish enclave spread to Rome, Florence, Mantua, and a host of other Italian towns and cities. The Venetian label stuck, and these mandatory Jewish areas throughout Italy came to be called ghettos too. Ghetto, that's the origin of the word. Actually, it began where they used it to describe Jewish people.
Yeah. The
put
small
them-
communities,
small communities
that they
of
were
Jewish
living
people.
in.
And now here we are today. When you hear the word ghetto, you know that 99% of us automatically think
A
of
black person.
black people in the projects. And
Not even in the projects anymore. It's gotten to the point now where it's just a black person that's loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have people in the suburbs, black people that's loud.
And it's interesting how labels bounce. So here this label was here on a whole different tribe of people, and now it's been bounced over to us. And now, but the interesting part about me is how some of us glorify ghetto.
Is that bad?
Is it good? I'm gonna bounce that back.
I mean, is it a bad thing? I mean, because
is living in a ghetto, is it good? Is it helpful?
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
No.
To live in a ghetto.
No, it's not. And then when I say that, I'm gonna tell you what I mean. We keep talking about community, but we have our own ideas of what community looks like, right? And a lot of it is emulating the very people that we say do not love us in a lot of ways.
I disagree with that.
Okay,
but go
that's
ahead.
okay. And if you live in some of these hoods, they have a sense of community. I'm not saying, because when you say hood, are you saying people getting assistance?
No, I'm thinking run down, torn down, the worst of everything, graffiti, trash on the streets. You know what I'm saying? People, you know, some of the things that you normally see in places that you would consider a ghetto. Is that a good way to live?
It's not a good way for you to live in a trashy, graffiti filled. Graffiti is art, so that's a whole other story.
So why is it that we have to be acting white to be to
No,
want a
that's
better
no.
existence.
That's not what I'm saying. Not at all. That is not. Let me restate that. I'm saying to think that because somebody lives in a community where people are poor. Okay.
Right.
And because there's a label that has come with that, or some stereotypes that have come with her, right? And and some of us are from these hoods, okay?
Yes,
so we have an idea of what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
But to throw the baby out with the bathwater, for me, I'm like, these people have some of the tightest sense of community that I've ever seen. To label that bad, I think there's a mixture of things in here. No, it's not good to not take care of your community. I don't care where you're at, whether you're in assisted living or not. I don't care where you're at. It's not okay. It's not okay to just start marking up property in that community. It's not okay to have trash everywhere. It's not okay to commit violence against each other.
Okay.
That's not okay.
Okay.
But there's also some good that's in there as well, is what I'm trying to say. So I can't say
I'm hearing you saying the sense of community that people have in these places is good.
Yeah, because the reality is that everybody is not going to make it. Everyone, where are these people supposed to go? What are they supposed to do? But poor doesn't mean that you have to destroy your communities.
I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't have to mean that.
And I hear you. And I think of Shanty Town. Same dynamics, different part of the world.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just basically think personally that we could have a sense of community without the poverty.
Yeah.
Without the poverty that drags down a community.
Poverty is going to be with us forever, though.
Yeah.
Forever, where's that going? Poverty has always been. It's always going to be. What do those people who can't afford to go into these other areas, who just don't have it for whatever reason, and black people have issues, what happens to them? What do they do? What do they do? Because they didn't ask to be labeled. They just need help. And they can't afford. So what do they do? Because you mentioned poor. So I'm like, so what do they do? Because people are always going to be poor among us somewhere.
Right. Right.
What do they do?
But my thinking is, just because you poor don't mean that you have to have a substandard.
I agree with you, and that's what I'm saying. Not because you're poor mean that you have to commit violence against each other. I mean that your community's got to be trashy. Mean that I agree. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got you on that. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm saying that's what I'm saying. All of that is mixed up in there. So, and guess what?
On that point.
The good and the bad, no one differentiates between that. The whole sum gets labeled ghetto.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, I don't know about that.
That's true.
Yeah.
We have a call. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Hi.
Hello, how you doing today? Where are you calling us from?
Hi, I'm calling from Laurel, Maryland.
Oh, hi, Laurel. Yes, what's on your mind?
Yes, I wanted to talk about the word submission or being submissive. That is a word, is definitely a trigger word, mostly for women, that allows them to think that once you submit or be submissive to a man, particularly in a relationship, that you are his slave, you are his beck and call, you have no identity of your own, no thoughts process of your own, and all of that is absolutely, completely false. And the reason why I say that is because the system of this world has been set up to the point where the tables were turned from one point to the other. Women were oppressed, then they were fought for their rights, particularly in this particular country. And then it's a newfound freedom, and it's now I don't have to get or need anything from anyone, or from a man. Now, if you're speaking spiritually or biblically or religiously, if you are submitting to your husband, then specifically your husband, not just some dude that you're meeting or dating for a couple months. I'm talking about your actual, mate for life. If you're submitting to your husband, you are to have to be submitting to someone that is submitting to God. And a lot of false truths are out there about, what that looks like. God holds the man to a higher standard than women. And what I mean by that is his responsibility to his home, his family, the community is far greater than a woman's. And his responsibility is submit to God, and in order to lead his family in a positive way, in order for the community to thrive. And that's every household. But nowadays we have this understanding or this idea that being submissive is laying down on our backs and taking whatever a man gives us. Absolutely not. That is absolutely false. If a woman is in a relationship with a man and it's her husband and they are doing things to build, to grow together, to be strengthened with each other, then if he makes a decision for the family or for the household and he's already in submission to God, the woman has nothing to worry about, as far as, what that decision was. Now, and I'm still speaking religiously or spiritually, the woman is supposed to be his helpmate. They're supposed to be working together in order to be successful and, build up the family, because the family is the community and the society as a whole. And when the family breaks down,
I think we got what you're saying in the gist of the time. So basically,
okay.
Yeah, and thank you so much for your call. We'll kind of discuss.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think there's a religious connection to the word submission that some people. That's why some people can't get with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you talk about what happens if you have a couple who are atheists, what God are we talking about?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's so many layers to it.
Right.
I think people in their household need to do what works for them.
Good point.
At the end of the day, yeah.
I say, if you're not harming others.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, moving right along. We're going to go into. Oh, go ahead.
You want to forgiving our enemies.
Forgiving our forgiveness. In
general.
Oh wow, that's like the biggest hot topic right now.
Yes, it is.
You want to go ahead?
And I think since some days have passed and I've been able to process it a little bit more, I think I've come to the conclusion that people are free to forgive whoever they want. That is their prerogative. I just want to make that clear. I personally think that the rapid forgiveness that is required of black people or expected of black people when harm is done to them is ridiculous.
And it's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. That's my issue. Our ability, it seems like our forgiveness is accelerated when it does not pertain to people that look like us.
Come on.
But when it is people, it still boils down to white supremacy.
Come on.
It's still, but I don't care how you fix this.
Break it down.
It still boils down to that. And the eye through which we see white people.
Come on.
And how we think they should be treated in regards to how they treat us. They can treat us badly and still, I'm talking about history, still be called master. We still have to serve them. You still have to do this because they're white. It still boils down to that. At first, I was just like, and that's also because I was a Christian at one point, and I know what Christianity can do to the mindset. I feel like all Abrahamic religions sort of have that with them. But we're talking about Christianity because that's been the hot topic of late, at least this week. I already know what that looks like, what Christianity looks like when it's occupying a black mind. I know what that looks like. And I think that that's dangerous in itself too. I think because Christianity, in my opinion, is very white. washed, and we don't want to talk about it, and it's just it's the truth. Now, what made me rethink this stuff is I started thinking about Garvey, Nat Turner, like all these different people that who still said they were Christians. You know what I mean?
Right.
But was about black liberation.
Big time.
Big time. You know what I'm saying? And revolution.
Right.
So I was just like, is it a different type of Christianity today?
That's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? Like what's happening with that? It's just so much. Like this topic, I can go on forever because a lot of it, like I go back to the Old Testament. You know what I mean? And today I was just like, maybe Jesus, because people say, well, that's the Old Testament, it's the New Testament. Jesus came and he taught love, and I was like, well, maybe God isn't really Jesus' daddy, because he is nothing like his father. He is nothing like his father.
Come on.
Because I'm like, and then I was like, maybe it was a situation where, people say, I was on the bad road, and I had a lot of bitterness and anger, and then I had a child, and that completely changed me. And I was like, well, maybe Jesus changed his father. When he was born, because when you look at God in the Old Testament, he was about vengeance.
Come on.
He tells them that.
Wasn't it a passage or something that said, I'm coming back, I'm coming back with the sword? What was that about?
I don't know, but I know the passage that says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord, I will repay. People use that all the time.
And the Creator kills more people than any other being on earth. Right.
So there's a lot of like genocide that happened under this God's instruction and all of this stuff. A lot of
hurricanes, tornadoes.
Yeah, a lot of misogynistic crimes that was like that's, and then y'all want to tell us that, oh, don't pay that no mind. We're just focusing on Jesus. And then we find out that Jesus that you're talking about, check his DNA, he white as ever. And it's like, which Jesus? Like, it's a lot. So when it comes to forgiveness, I am not for this rapid forgiveness that allow people to grieve, allow people to hurt.
When the person you're forgiving ain't even asking you for forgiveness, they haven't even gone through a process of even being forgivable. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I did a whole 30-minute blog on it. It's on Miss Frida People on YouTube. If you guys want to check that out, like us, by the way, too. Subscribe, I should say. But my point was, it becomes dangerous when you, like you said, you forgive. If you want to forgive somebody, that's fine. Yeah. That's your prerogative. That's you. But when you get on a public display, you in a courtroom where the cameras in the courtroom go all over the world. Everybody's watching. This is you know what I'm saying?
What is the message that's being
received?
What is
the message that you're giving people looking at you on stand crying for a white woman that just killed your brother, a police officer, in the midst of all this police brutality and things that we're dealing with in this nation? And this woman is upholding that in the courtroom. She just killed your brother, and you turn around and say, I forgive you, and now also I want to embrace you and love you, and I feel for you.
And I want you to give your life to Christ.
What is that saying to people who watching that don't look like us?
But the reality is that, what's his name? Mr. Jean, the victim, would not have received the same sentiment.
Not at all.
Not at all. In fact, he probably would have died in custody.
And because
that was a police officer.
Absolutely. And so not only does the family members show this public display, now the actual judge that's supposed to be impartial, now, you know what I'm saying, she up there crying and hugging on them too. What does this say to people all over the world that don't look like us?
And that's just the most recent thing. You remember that church shooting?
Right.
When they came out and it was like, we forget, and I'm just like,
South Carolina.
I'm like, this is something that's happening.
I believe that it is an excuse to do nothing about the problem. When you do that, you kind of the end. I forgive you, the end. You know what I'm saying? What comes after that?
You feel you've done your part.
You feel, okay, I'm going to release all this off of me, so I don't have to do nothing about it in return.
I think it's also a fear of hell, by the way. And if you have never been a Christian and really like entrenched in the doctrine of Christianity, you really don't understand the effect that the fear of hell can have on the psyche.
Wow.
Because if the fear of hell is removed, right,
Yeah.
black people will be much farther in this country.
Wow.
I know that's probably a heavy thing for me to say, but it's the truth. Because if you remove the fear of hell, because here's the idea: you could die at any moment, and you don't want to die with this thing in your heart, unforgiveness. You see what I'm saying? So because you don't want, like they say, lift up your eyes in hell. So there's the fear of hell involved here too that's driving a lot of this. Now, how genuine it is when people say, I forgive you, I don't even know if that's really genuine. I don't know, because
It's like the words, I give myself to Christ. It's like you accept Christ. It's like you say that, and then you go back and do all the things that are anti-Christ.
but I love him though.
That's like, what are you doing here? You
Yeah.
saying something, but your words and actions are proving a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's dangerous. But we're talking about that one case, but this is something that happens a lot.
Over, and it's just us.
Yes.
It's just us.
Yes, and that's
For
what I
the
said.
most part, we're the only ones that
He would not
can
have
do
received the
this.
same sentiments. He would not. That was a police officer had. Let's look at it a different way. If he was the one that entered her apartment, shot her,
Oh, please.
he'd have died in custody.
Oh, would he?
He would
He
have.
would have definitely died in custody.
Because people died
He
in
wouldn't
custody.
even
We
made
know
himself
people
to
who
court.
died in custody for far less.
He wouldn't even made it to court.
So come on, let's be real.
So the balance in this thing is just, the justice. It's like when we have an opportunity to give give justice to an unjust issue, we forgive it. We're not even giving the proper justice ourselves, let alone what they doing to us.
Right.
Now, here we have an opportunity to give the justice back, and we don't.
And that's why it goes back to our initial point in the beginning with cancel culture, whereby it only applies to certain people, and it's usually the people that look like us.
Come on.
That's really this is all connected to that as well.
Teach on
Because
it.
you know what disgusts me? I went online and you see all of the Christian them talking about glory to God, and this is a testimony. This is the gospel and all this other stuff. It disgusts me. It disgusts me because I'm like, there are so many other things that have happened to us as a people in this country. Okay? And if we retaliate, you won't say glory to God then. You know what I mean? It's like we expect black people to always be docile as it pertains to white people. And that's really the underlying issue. No one is attacking this brother. And he's young. He's like 18 or 19 years old. He hasn't even really lived.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's young. So no one is attacking him. We are focusing on what the issue is, the
Where did he
underlying
learn this
issue
behavior?
with that.
Where did he learn this behavior?
He's indoctrinated. He's programmed into it. You know what I mean? Like however he grew up. Like someone on your page was talking about when do religion become culture or culture become religion? Like how do we know?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I thought that was a interesting perspective because it's true. There are some people who religion is like culture to them. And that's how you raise up. Like you have Catholics are good for that. Where someone would say, I was born a Catholic. How so? How?
Good teacher.
At what age? 2? But that's because that's culture. We see it as religion, and they don't realize that it's really culture. It's really what they like. I grew up in a Catholic home,
Right.
so therefore I'm Catholic. It's like me saying I'm West Indian because I grew up in a West Indian home.
Right.
That's how they use the term Catholic when they
Right.
say I was born Catholic. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like no, and that's when culture and religion kind of like synchronize.
Intertwined.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting stuff. Wow. So of course we went way over
Sorry.
that.
Yeah, that forgiveness
no, you're
one.
fine. That was a good one because that's a hot topic right now. Family, if you want to give us a call, we're talking about trigger words. 240-455-5934 is the call-in hotline number. Moving right along. White Jesus. Let's just go there.
Same thing.
Same thing. Just got finished talking about it.
I have an issue with Black Jesus too, by the way, but okay.
Yeah. My whole point is how do we go from the vast majority of black people in this society practicing Christianity under a depiction of a man who blonde-haired, blue-eyed man, and you look at this man and you see him as Jesus. You see a lot of people, Christians, believe Jesus is God. So here you are looking at this depiction of God as being blonde hair, blue-eyed, and it's stuck in your head for centuries, and then somebody comes and says, oh no, he's not white, he's black, and you say, oh, okay, take that down, put this one up, and keep it moving.
Teachings never change, is never challenged.
When do you get to a point where you stop and say, well, wait a minute now, how did this depiction become the way it is? You know, what's the history behind that? Why were we worshiping this the whole time? Who did this to us? We don't ever go down that road. And so it's like we just changed the picture and we kept on moving. So how does that change really anything?
Two things that when people talk about the attributes of God, you got to think about that, what that means. Like, you see God as omniscient. You see God as omnipotent, right? God is omnipresent. Like, these are the terminologies they use to describe God. God is all powerful. And if God is all powerful to you, and you believe in this God, and he holds all power, and you take your directions from this God, and this God knows everything that's best for you, and this God knows your beginning from your end, and this God is who directs your life, and this God is white. What does that do to the black psyche? What does that do to the black psyche? This is
even if you took the picture down and put a black picture up.
Yeah, but since we're talking about white Jesus, what has that done to the psyche of black people? Right?
It makes you see white people as God.
And in your subconscious mind, though, without realizing it.
Yes.
And then when you get into the subconscious mind, if that's what's driving most of our everyday activities and how we behave and how we function, what does that look like? How does the image of a white God show up in a black psyche? What does that look like?
It shows up like Tammy in the courtroom. It shows up like Gene Botham's brother.
Thank you.
That's
and
how
therefore
it shows
it's
up.
beyond to say it's just about forgiveness is to oversimplify the issue.
Yeah.
What happened in that courtroom, to just bring it down to bring it down to just simply forgiveness and make it seem like, oh, why y'all have a problem with somebody forgiveness, is to really oversimplify that issue.
Yeah.
Because just like you say, that is how it shows up. A white God shows up in a black psyche. That is how that's manifested through black bodies. What does that look like? And that's just one example.
And that's why they won't get the same treatment if she was a black man or black woman. That's why.
Right.
They wouldn't get the same treatment.
Why? And when
with
you
us. With us. That's why when they come into the room, you hush your voice and your tone, or you get uncomfortable if somebody says anything related to race, and they're in the room. A lot of us, you know what I'm saying, and I know it's true because I used to be one. You know what I'm saying, until I, worked that madness up out of me. So it's the way we behave, it's the way we react, it's the way I used to work in the clothing store, and I used to watch how the girl behind the counter would talk nasty to all the black people, but as soon as a white woman walked up there, her whole attitude changed.
And that's why I'm saying, that's why I asked the question, because it's meant to provoke thought. Me asking that question is meant to provoke thought. How does that show up?
Right.
How does that show up? Because some people say, well, why is it so detrimental? Look at how it shows up. Right. Look at it shows up in the way we treat each other. Yeah. Because if a white God have watched my people suffer for hundreds of years, a white God have done this, then perhaps black people, that is their fate, and we deserve it. And so the mistreatment that we do to each other, we do it to each other because we deserve it. But white people know, because they are more connected to God. They are close to God. God looks like them. When they say God created man in their image, they were talking about white people if your God is white. Because I sure enough ain't created in the image of no white God. So it can't be talking about me. This thing is deeper than just forgiveness.
It shows up in integration and why we don't want to separate ourselves
It
from
shows up in the doll tests that they give to our children. And our children points at the white doll and say, this doll is good. And points at the black doll and says, that doll, it shows up because our children are inheriting this.
It shows up in mixed race relationships. When you know what I'm saying? You'll put a white woman above your brother or sister, and some of us, that's all we want to date.
It shows up in how we talk to each other, where we say, you don't need to be showing out like this in front of these people. Alqamar, me and you talk, we laugh loud, we play around, we talk loud, and then all of a sudden a white person's in the room and you want me to whisper. Why, sis? We don't whisper no other time.
Come on.
That's how it shows up.
Keep it real.
It's the truth. But we don't want to talk about it. And we have to learn to see these things within our own selves too and address them, by the way, like you said, because you were there. See it within yourself and say, you know something? Like this issue that happened with this little girl on the H&M ad. With the hair situation.
Right.
I think it was just deeper than, and then of course the conversation shift to, I think the issues that her hair was just unhealthy. But we have to have a conversation to where black people don't even feel right going out with shabby hair.
Come on.
What is that about? All of this is connected to white supremacy.
Come on.
But we don't want to talk about it because we don't want to connect the dots, because then we have to hold ourselves accountable and we have to hold each other accountable. Yes. And nobody wants to admit that, one, we fear the white man, and two, we still worship the white man. Nobody wants to say that. So
that's real. That's real. It shows up in our hairstyles.
Thank you.
Let's go there.
The need to want to manipulate our hair to look a certain way, to be accepted, to be validation. Look, it shows up on how we want to live in close proximity. It shows up on the schools we send our children to, because we think because it's populated, majority is white, that means the school is better. The neighborhood is white, so the neighborhood is better. We don't want to walk in our neighborhood. We want to get in close proximity to what we deem as better. Why? Because they are in closer proximity to God, because they look more like the image of God in our mind than we do. Wow. But hey, I didn't really want to go there, but yeah.
Did you ever? I'm gonna let you go on there.
I'm sorry.
I don't want to stop you.
I'm done. It's just that it infuriates me, because we want to have these conversations on a shallow level, like the forgiveness one, and I'm like, no, it's deeper than that. And if we're not ready to go, I don't want to have it.
Right.
If we're not ready to go into those depths, because you know what, something, Alqamar, the deeper you go, the more you're gonna realize you got some stuff to shed, and that's okay. It's a part of growing.
Right. All right. How much time we got?
Oh, God.
Okay, 8 minutes left. So we got one last one. What you want to tackle?
What you want to do, Alqamar? I'll let you choose this one, because I had, oh, Lord. Pedophiles?
No.
We can.
Baby mama? It's so many.
What is the baby mama thing?
Oh.
Maybe you could just skim through like maybe 2 of them.
Okay, real quick. All right. I had baby mama. Why did I have baby mama?
Oh, you said because the term.
The terminology of it, baby mama.
What was your thoughts behind that?
Some of us are turned off by those terms, and I'm one of them. I don't like that term.
Okay.
It just, I don't think it's appropriate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The mother of your child. You know what I'm saying? What are you calling her? Your child, the teenager. You calling her your baby mama. You ain't got no baby no more. It's the teenager. So, for me, it's like the terminology, I think, is just inappropriate to be using, and it don't sit well with me.
Okay. So I guess when you just said that, I was like, okay, the baby mother of your child, in a sense, they mean the same thing. I think there's an energy that's connected to the term baby mama, though. When it's used, it's almost like it has a negative connotation to it.
Like drama. Baby mama drama. They got it like a cliche.
Technically, they mean the same thing. One is just a little more slangish than the other one. So it's almost like, to me, the meaning is the same. But I think there's the connotation is a little different. The other one, when it's used, is never used in a positive way. Right. Like somebody could easily say, yeah, that's my baby mama, or a woman could say, yeah, I'm his baby mama. Yeah. And maybe that's just them using it in a slangish way, but most of the time when it's used, it's like used more like in a in a negative light. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I get you. You don't sit well with a lot of women. Trust me.
We're going to keep going. Pedophile.
Oh, Lord.
That's another one of those words one of those things that we don't address head on.
Okay.
We like to skate by it when it's an epidemic, when it's so many of us suffering, and I think we don't recognize that it's in every family, in his home, so close to home, and demographic, and it affects us all because we don't realize the ramifications and the repercussions of this behavior, but yet and still we don't even want to talk about it. So the behavior not only persists, but it exacerbates. It gets huge, it grows, it becomes even worse because we refuse to sit down and tackle this huge elephant in the middle of the room. Pedophilia, child molestation. Anytime I ever have share any information relating to child molestation on my page, I may get 1 or 2 responses.
Why is that? Why do you think?
I think because there's a lot more pedophiles out there than what we care to believe.
Some of us know some.
And some of us are some.
There you go.
Some of us are some. So there's a lot of people that, they don't want to touch it because they know that's who they are. I think that's an issue. And 2, I think that a lot of time for us, the pain, the victims, the pain is so deep that they don't want to resurface it. They don't want to trigger.
Like when I see black people sharing Pizzagate information, and I'm just like, oh no, we have a sickness in our community too. But no, they don't touch that. But they'll show you all the white faces who are pedophiles, and I'm like, no. Pedophilia has no face. It has no skin color.
Right.
Like that's but you see people who are conscious black people that when they talk about the topic, they push mainly, and I'm like, and this is why we can't address it in our community.
Or they go back to
it was forced on us.
Right.
That ain't us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's us now. So what are we doing? What are we doing about it?
Nothing.
Stop telling me about the past and we trying to solve present issues.
Nothing. I have a theory that how they say when the pedophiles get to jail and they get such a hard time, and I'm a firm believer that it's because of those people who give them a hard time know how it feels to be a victim of child molestation, and that's their payback. They couldn't get them when they were babies. So we're going to get you now that you in here with us. So it's like, again, going back to the point where I don't think we really fully understand the ramifications of this behavior and how it affects people. You know what I'm saying?
It only affects the whole community.
Yeah. As
a whole.
Right.
That's where everybody's sustaining your corner and saying, well, it's not mine, and minding my own business doesn't work.
It does not.
It doesn't work. Because at the end, that issue is going to trickle over.
Yeah.
Because these are the kids that's going to school with your children.
Yeah.
These are the adults that's around your children as well, if you are part of that community. And what that stuff does to people, not just the mind of children, but the spirit.
Absolutely.
The spirit of people are broken.
It's devastating.
Exactly. And some people never recover from it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what that is with black people where we just kind of tiptoe around pedophilia.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, don't come, if you want to come to me and tell me, well, let's talk about where the behavior come from. You ain't ready to have the conversation then. You're not ready to have it.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you what's happening now.
Right.
And you want me to go back to what? Hundreds of years ago?
Right.
And you want to tell me about buck breaking. Buck breaking. And I got all of that because I know my history.
Right.
But here's an issue. How are we addressing this?
Right.
Don't give me a history lesson.
Right. Because that ain't solving the problem.
It ain't solving the problem.
Okay, we got the root. Now how we gonna solve the root?
Yeah.
How we gonna solve it? And that's the thing that, that's a trigger word, I think, for so many of us, because we don't even want to go there at all. And our children are suffering because of our unwillingness to tackle this issue.
And adults. It's affecting our relationships too.
Oh,
because
yeah,
these
that's
children
my point.
become adults.
And they get in relationships with us. And we wonder why our relationships are in shambles, and you know what I'm saying, or promiscuity is such a big thing, or you know what I'm saying, people can't open up to other people, the trust factor, all those
And this
things.
is men and women.
Men and women.
Because some of our men have been violated and they will never speak about it.
Right.
So
Good
it
stuff.
affects the way that we relate to each other.
Chris, we good? Oh, okay. All right, family. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it there. We had a few other things on the list, but we ran out of time. I think we did pretty good though.
Yeah, we did. What is this Agenda X? But okay.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Genderless, like the whole.
Yes.
Oh boy. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That's for another time.
All right, family.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thank you guys for calling in. Thanks for chiming. Subscribe to our channels. We are on Facebook all day under the Empower Hour Talk Show. Go ahead and hit that chime button too, so you can get your notification when we go live every week. We do this, and then we come with different topics every week. And we're also on YouTube. If you go under Miss Free the People, you can catch all our past videos there. Real quick and simple, just by going under Miss Free the People. That's spelled MS Free the People. All right, family. Take care of each other.
Until next time.
Until next time. Peace.